Decades after the bodies of a woman and her child were found on Long Island, they've now been identified.
One woman vanished. 11 bodies were found. And a killer walked free for over a decade.
As Jennifer McLogan reports, investigators believe their deaths may not be connected to the accused Gilgo Beach serial killer.
From chilling 911 calls to taunting phone games, the Long Island serial killer haunted an entire community, then vanished like a ghost. But when a discarded pizza crust led to a shocking arrest, the truth became even darker. Was it all the work of one man? Or is the real killer still out there? Don't blink. What you're about to uncover will haunt you long after the video ends. Victims: it all began with one missing girl, Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old escort who vanished in 2010 after making a chilling 911 call in Oak Beach, Long Island. But what seemed like an isolated case soon spiraled into something far more horrifying. While police searched for Shannon, they accidentally uncovered the bodies of 4 other women: Maureen Brainard Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello, all wrapped in burlap and dumped near Gilgo Beach. Each woman had been working as an escort through Craigslist. Each shared a similar profile: young, petite, and disappeared under suspicious circumstances. As detectives expanded their search, even more remains surfaced. In total, at least 11 victims have been linked to the Long Island serial killer case. What makes it more chilling? Many of these women had vanished years apart. Some were only discovered as dismembered remains scattered across different locations. Despite the timeline and horror, their disappearances received minimal media attention. Many brushed off due to their professions. These women weren't just victims. They were daughters, sisters, and friends. And someone out there hunted them with terrifying precision. This wasn't random. This was the work of a phantom. A cold, calculating predator who vanished every time the police got close. Discovery: the turning point came in December 2010, when a K-9 unit stumbled upon something unexpected near Gilgo Beach. While searching for missing Shannon Gilbert, officers found a skeleton wrapped tightly in burlap. But it wasn't Shannon. It was Melissa Barthélemy. Within days, 3 more sets of remains appeared: Maureen Brainard Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Lynn Costello, all within a quarter-mile stretch of sand. It became clear this wasn't a coincidence. It was a dumping ground, a serial killer's graveyard. The area was quiet, remote, with no cameras and minimal traffic. The perfect place to hide horrors. Soon, law enforcement widened their search and uncovered more victims, some dismembered, some unidentified. It was no longer just one case. It had become a massive serial murder investigation. The eerie calm of Long Island was shattered. Residents grew terrified. Who was using their quiet beachfront to leave behind the bodies of women? And how had no one noticed for so long? Even more haunting, Shannon Gilbert, the woman who triggered this discovery, was still missing. One discovery had opened the door to a chilling truth. Long Island had a serial killer hiding in plain sight. Calls: one of the most chilling elements in the Long Island serial killer case revolves around the phone calls. Cryptic, taunting, and terrifying. After Melissa Barthélemy went missing in July 2009, her teenage sister began receiving disturbing calls from Melissa's cell phone. The caller didn't just stay silent. He mocked the family. In one call, he asked if the sister was a whore like her sister. In another, he claimed he had done bad things to Melissa. These calls came from Manhattan, and each time, the man kept the call under 3 minutes to avoid being traced. The voice was described as calm, confident, and emotionless. Someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Police traced the cell tower locations, but the killer always stayed one step ahead, using crowded areas like Times Square to make his calls before vanishing into the masses. But it wasn't just Melissa's phone. Several victims' phones showed strange activity after they went missing. Calls made, texts deleted, locations shifting. It was clear the killer was not only targeting these women. He was using their identities to taunt and manipulate. These calls weren't just evidence. They were psychological warfare. a cruel game played by a phantom who refused to be caught. Theories over the years, countless theories have emerged about who the Long Island serial killer could be. Some believe it's a lone predator, a methodical man who knew the area well and picked victims who were less likely to trigger media or police attention. Others argue it could be more than one killer, especially since the victims were found across different locations with varied methods of disposal. A popular theory suggests the killer might have law enforcement ties. Why? Because he seemed to understand police procedures, how to avoid detection, how long to keep calls, and where cameras wouldn't be. Some even suspect a former cop who used his experience to cover his tracks. Then there's the John Bitroff theory, a man convicted of killing 2 sex workers in the early 90s. His DNA was found on one of the Long Island victims, but police haven't confirmed him as the main suspect. Others point to Joseph Brewer, the last person to see Shannan Gilbert alive, or Dr. Peter Hackett, who bizarrely called Shannan's mother days after she disappeared, claiming to run a home for wayward girls. Both were investigated, but no solid links were made. Despite all the speculation, the real identity remains unknown. Every theory leaves behind more questions than answers, keeping the fear alive and the phantom free. Mistakes from the very beginning. The investigation into the Long Island serial killer was marred by mistakes, some so critical they may have allowed a killer to stay hidden for over a decade. The most tragic error: the handling of Shannan Gilbert's disappearance. Police dismissed her distressing 23-minute 911 call as a mental health episode, not foul play. Despite her screaming, "They're trying to kill me," officers assumed she was just paranoid. They didn't even search the area properly until months later, and only then did they find the bodies of other women. Communication between law enforcement agencies was poor. Suffolk County Police refused FBI help for years, delaying access to federal resources that could have accelerated the case. Some officers were later investigated for misconduct, further damaging public trust. The crime scenes themselves weren't sealed thoroughly. Evidence may have been missed, trampled, or never collected. Some victims weren't identified for years. One was even misidentified before DNA corrected the record. Even after burner phone data, cell pings, and witness statements pointed to patterns, follow-ups were slow, scattered, or abandoned. In a case involving such horrific crimes, these failures weren't just oversights. They were lost chances to bring justice. Breakthrough. After more than a decade of dead ends, the case finally shifted in 2022. A task force re-examined old evidence with new technology, cell tower data, digital forensics, and updated DNA analysis. That's when the name Rex Heuermann, a Long Island architect, emerged. He matched the physical profile, lived near the victim's last known cell locations, and had suspicious online activity. DNA found on a pizza crust from his trash matched genetic material from one of the burlap-wrapped bodies. In July 2023, Heuermann was arrested and charged with 3 of the Gilgo Beach murders. For many, this was the moment they'd waited years for, a possible end to the nightmare. But one question remains: is he the only one? Identity. Even after Rex Heuermann's arrest, the full truth about the Long Island serial killer's identity remains unclear. Is he the only killer, or just one piece of a larger puzzle? Some victims don't match his known patterns, leaving doubts and fear in the community. Heuermann lived a double life: successful architect by day, suspected predator by night. But until all victims are linked, and all answers revealed, the phantom still lingers in the shadows of Long Island. If this story left you shaken, hit that subscribe button, because the darkness doesn't end here. Do you believe Rex Heuermann acted alone, or is the real Long Island serial killer still out there, hiding in plain sight? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your theories. And whatever you do, don't miss our next video. The disappearance of Susan Powell, a family's tragedy, coming soon. One more chilling mystery you won't want to miss.